Hey, it's Lucy. So I had a bit of a lull in my work a few weeks ago where I thought, I can't start X until I hear back from Y, and I can't start Z until I hear back from W, so I don't really know what to do with my day. And this was a problem I was looking at across the whole week. And my partner said to me, well, why don't you start your thesis? Whoa. I said, no, I am not ready for that. I am only a third year. I am still doing experiments. I can't start writing up. There is no way I am ready for that just yet. A thesis is this huge, impressive piece of writing that, if you succeed, allows you to call yourself a doctor, and it's probably the longest thing you've ever written, and it's got to be really good. I don't think I'll ever feel ready for that. So of course, sitting down and starting it is going to be really scary. And he said, well, just write up your methods so far. They're in the past and they're not going to change, and they will have to get written up eventually. And I couldn't come up with a reason not to. I opened up pages, I used the first layout that came to my head, and I just started writing. I started at the very start, back in 2016, 2017, and I just found all my old notes in Evernote, and thankfully they were easy to locate. Thank you, younger self. And I just put those to paper. And it was actually really nice. All these loose, random bits of information that had just been rattling around my notes, all finally coming together. It was like all the things that were frustrating and difficult in 2016 and 2017 and 2018, they were now being proven worth it because they had made it into my thesis, and they had definitely made it into the document that's going to get me my PhD. So I wrote all that week, and actually all the week after, while I was still waiting on my X and on my Y, and the chapter slowly started coming together. I got all of those loose notes down, and then I started tracking down missing bits of information. So who was the supplier of such a chemical, or what was the gas mix I used in such a furnace, and it was pure catharsis. It was like tidying a messy desk into neat little drawers, and knowing that everything could just stay put in those drawers, and if I ever needed it, I knew exactly where everything was. When I finished writing up my methods, I moved on to making diagrams for each of the datasets I had so far, which, when you've run 17 experiments, each with 6 sub-experiments, each that's been analysed by 4 different techniques, it turns out to be quite a lot of graphs. And these are graphs that aren't going anywhere. This is data that's not going to change, so they'll have to be made eventually. When I finished that, I moved on to discussing each of those graphs. So what the take-home message was, how they fitted in with the bigger picture. That kind of stuff will probably only make an appendix, if that. But whether or not it makes it into my thesis, I've now looked at all of my results so far in extreme detail, and so I've got my head around what's going on. Now that I've started, I'm not scared of the concept of writing my thesis anymore. It just feels like any other document now, and the sooner I write it, the better, and the sooner I'll get my PhD. Whenever I have a lull in my work, or I need a change of activity, or I've got a few hours between things, I just pick up where I left off. And when I do, it feels like putting change in a piggy bank. I feel a lot more like I know what's coming now. So when people talk about the writing up phase, I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of like what I did last week, but longer term. And so I feel a lot less anxious about that now. To anyone ahead of me in the PhD process, please tell me in the comments, how did you go about writing your thesis? And how did that work for you? To everyone in general, what do you think is the best way to go about whittling down such an enormous task as writing a thesis? Thanks as always for listening. My name is Lucy Kissick. I am a third year PhD student at the University of Oxford, and take care.